Hi, today I want to share with you something that might stick with you for a while. And if you've been living your life that looks really good on the outside, but feels so empty on the inside with no real meaning, this one is for you. I know this place too well. And here I'm not gonna tell you to change your whole life, to burn everything down, quit your job, and move to Bali. What I will do is share 7 tiny habits that I started doing when I felt completely disconnected from myself. They're simple, almost too simple, but they slowly brought me back to myself, to the true core of who I am. And if you stay until the end of this video, I believe you will walk away with a routine that feels like a soft return to yourself. Not a performance, not a quick fix, just a pure home. So let's dive into it. Hi, my name is Edith, and I help high achieving young professionals who have outgrown the life they were told to want to find their true identity, to trust themselves again, and to fall in love with the life that's waiting for them and that they were always aligned with. And to do so without burning down completely the current one. So, let me tell you a little story. There was a time when I realized I didn't know who I was outside of being ambitious, productive, or useful. And people always praised me for being kind, smart, nice, productive one. But it all always felt like I was playing someone, like I was playing a character that just felt good for them. And the truth is, the world, the system, the people, even who have tried to love me like that, they shaped me to be like that. They shaped me to people please, to please them by me being someone who they wanted to see in myself. Usually to perform, to act, to smile, to repeat. I had to admit that I was really exhausted because all this performance, all this overanalyzing everyone's face and reaction, thinking that it was directed on me. It was something that was extremely exhausting, but I didn't really recognize that at that time because I thought that this is the life. This is like living. I really needed to take a big pause just to find out I'm so empty and I don't really have any real meaning. But I still knew that it just cannot be all that life has for us. And I really refused to be satisfied with the horrible feelings I felt. And I wasn't doing these habits in order to change who I was, but rather to strip everything off and to really get to the ground and to the baseline of me. Because beneath all these layers of rules that were so artificial and that were really coming from the outside, I didn't see who I really was until I started to slowly become more relaxed and more aware. And these tiny habits really helped me tremendously in this. And the first habit I call self parenting. Sometimes our parents didn't really know how to give us what we need, even though they were trying their best, and as they were always. Because if they would known better, they would do better. And so, first, there is no attempt to put any blame on them, but rather to take accountability of ourselves. Whenever I would hear any harsh voice, whenever I would hear any criticizing that wouldn't really come from a pure intent of helping me, but rather of their intent of hiding their own complexes, I would just pause, I would breathe deeply, and I would say to myself, it's okay. I still love you. you're still lovable, and you don't need to prove anything right now. And I would keep repeating this until the bad feeling would just dissolve. Because this is really just your choice on how to respond or how to react on the external comments or criticism that might not even be directed to you in order to help you. It might be even said so that it would hurt you. And so, why would you be welcoming it with an open arms? No, we're going to freaking build a shield. And this is the shield that I was using every time someone would try to put me down. It really gives you a sense of knowing that the child is still within you. I'm still my 7-year-old self. I'm still my 12-year-old self. I'm still my teenage old self. And anytime any comment or criticism is directed to you, you don't even know from which part of your life this could be triggering, because it's not your present self that's triggered, but rather your younger self, the, let's say, 17 version of yourself who was having an eating disorder, and maybe someone gave you a little look of how you were looking, or they even gave you a comment on, oh, you gained weight. And it wasn't your present, let's say, I don't know, 25, 30-year-old self. It's yourself that probably hasn't been parented or hasn't been given the love they needed at that time, which would be like 17 years old, for example. And so by parenting yourself, you're giving back the love, and you are healing your younger versions of yourselves. And this is why it's so important and so powerful. And like that, you stop waiting for others to tell you if you're enough or not. You are going to tell yourself you're already enough. And that's everything that matters. And that is also how then you will show up in the world. And therefore, the people will need to accept it. Okay, the second one. I feel like this one has some magical properties, or I can't really explain it, but I started to do my morning pages. However, with the intent of saying everything that I'm grateful for. And you don't have to say every grand, like spectacular thing. You can say, like, I'm so grateful that I have this blanket on me and that I have a pillow to sleep on. I'm so grateful to see something grow in my room. I'm so grateful for the stars. I'm so grateful for water. Could you imagine life without water? And it's these little things that it will remind you that the life we should be looking for is built from those little pieces that we should be grateful for. And it's very natural that we tend to overlook these things. And like this, we remind ourselves that we might be already living in those moments which we were praying for. During the day, I felt like I was really living with an intention. And when I poured myself a glass of water, or whenever I would have a sip of a coffee, I would just stop and realize or just appreciate the moment. And I would maybe also think about the morning when I was writing about these things, and now I can have that. And you then become like this machine of good vibes. And it's that moment when really people started to telling me I'm a little different. So try it. It's a magic. The third thing is maybe again a little awkward in the first few times of trying it. And also, these habits might be also like a little test of how bad do you want to come back to your home, to yourself, to meet your authenticity, and to see yourself as your true force. And So for the people that will feel cringe, if they feel like if someone would see them, they would just want to disappear, try to allow yourself to feel cringe. It might be your ego scared of being judged, or it might be your doubts or your previous experiences, and they aren't defining you. It's up to you then, the choice of either staying the same and therefore feeling the same and being okay with not living the life to the fullest and being okay with being exhausted by people pleasing and by overthinking. Or you can feel cringe for a while. You can feel so weird for a while. For example, with the parenting yourself, you can feel really weird, but it is working. And that is something that's undeniable. Once you go with it, with a full effort, once you go really all in, it will start to work and you will never ever regret it for trying it. And so, this one is about dancing because dancing is proven to give you an emotional release. Also, when the body knows that is safe and that can simply and quite metaphorically, but also literally, shake off all the negative stuff that has been storing throughout the whole period of you not dancing or you not doing any kind of release. This is not a spiritual thing. It's really based on also the chemicals that come up within your brain when you start dancing. It's the dopamine, endorphin, serotonin. This whole combination will give you a bulletproof confidence boost. It is also with power poses. For example, if you stay like a Superman for 2 minutes, it's proven to increase your confidence. So you can give it a try. And so this dancing I started to do even before I started really dancing like a hobby. And so I really was looking probably so freaking funny, and it would be maybe a viral TikTok video, but I didn't care. I decided to not care because it was my really one of my lowest points, and this movement gave me some kind of freedom. And also this movement, to see me moving and to see me enjoying, it gave me the confidence boost and my posture started to change. I started to have my shoulders a little bit more back and I started to walk into the rooms like someone of a value. And this is, of course, it's not just because of dancing, but this is one of the things that really was an important key towards that. So can you imagine how simple is that? But not easy. Once your body feels safe to express, you don't need anyone's permission. And so you go and do whatever you need and you feel. Another thing, acting. Look, acting really helps you to stop taking yourself so seriously. And it will give you some kind of emotional release and emotional freedom, mental freedom. It might feel like a paradox because by pretending to be someone else, you can actually find out who you are. Because by finding out who you are not, you are increasing the probability of finding who you really are. And there's really something about acting that made me loosen my grip on my true self. And it helped me realize that I was actually doing this job for free and I was acting just to be accepted. And so once I started to be aware of that, that is always the most important thing. And if you're watching this video until now, I'm clapping for you because you are probably the one who is aware that maybe there might be still something that's not uncovered within yourself, and that might surprise even you how powerful and how creative and how just awesome person you can be, even though I feel like you're awesome already. However, I started to let that go. I started to, every time I would see myself and I would feel that I'm not being myself or that I'm shrinking myself, I would stop for a while and I would acknowledge that. But then I would take all the courage together and do what feels right, not what looks right. And so, like that, I wasn't shrinking anymore in front of my boss, on meetings, in front of my friends, even in front of my family. I started to really be myself. And this one really changed my inner system, let's say, of beliefs and of traumas. And I want to address shadow work and meditation. These two things together are powerhouse. I cannot stress this enough, but meditation is like decluttering your room, and shadow work is like taking the best disinfection that has ever existed and rubbing it all over your room and making everything clean and without a touch of anything dirty. This is really like creating a clean room where you can breathe, when you can live, and where you can feel peaceful and calm, and to actually see the things as they really are, not covered in dirt. So I started journaling and doing shadow work every time I would be triggered. And I would either find some shadow work questions on Pinterest, or I would create my own. Also, I'll write down 10 best shadow work questions that really cracked cracked me open, and I that were really emotional too as well, but they were the ones that changed the game. So feel free to download them if you feel like you might want to have an inspiration, and but be really aware these are really strong ones. It's like a shot of tequila instead of glass of wine. But the thing is to sit with the feeling, sit with the discomfort and relive it again. Because then, once you relive it, like the psychology behind it is that once body and you know that you're in safe place and you allow yourself to relive this trauma again, this is how you heal. You are letting yourself to feel them, and you're letting your body to feel them too as well. And this is the healing process of any trauma. And it's not an easy process, it's not a pretty one neither. It contains a lot of tears. Sometimes I would just crumble down, literally, and sometimes I would even record myself just to see what I needed to go through in order to heal myself. And it really is as if you were having a broken leg and you would start to cry by pain. This is the same thing, but your body needs to feel it. This is nothing of voluntarily exposing yourself to a pain. This is your pain that needs to be felt in a safe space. And shadow work and meditations that tap into your traumas are like, it's better than doctor. And we are slowly getting to the end. The sixth tiny habit is my inner child photo. And by inner child, I mean me as a child. When I am working on my desktop, I'm always having a photo of my little self in front of me. And every time I would feel like I want to procrastinate, or I would want to maybe give in to some weird feelings that I don't deserve and that I shouldn't be entertaining, I'll always look at her and I'll tell her, I'll give you the world, and I'm giving it to you right now, because the world is as you built it. And so you can choose whether you want to entertain daily news in the morning, just hearing what happens in the world, Or you can choose to start the day with calmness and with peace. This inner child photo, it's like as if your own child would be looking at you throughout the whole day or throughout your work, and they would implicitly expect something from you, something that you will take care of them, something just as a child really expects from a parent. And this is also connected with the first tiny habit. And this is just something that emphasizes that, and it is really powerful. And so that reminds me that I'm not doing anything outside the world to prove anything to anyone else. All I'm doing is making this little girl proud, and also making my 80-year-old proud. That's all I need to do in life. And this is a little sign that always grounds me, and it's really effective. And to wrap this up, the seventh last tiny habit is listening to affirmations, writing down the affirmations also, or listening to subliminals. I don't know if you know this saying that repeated lie becomes truth. And this is for anything. This applies for really a lie, or for truth, or for anything that you want, that you feel like would be great in your life. And so if you want to feel safe within yourself, keep saying that. Put on affirmation daily. You can also put the subliminals, which is a low volume chunk of words and phrases that are positive and that are subconsciously reprogramming your mind. And we already probably know that subconscious mind is leading our lives. It's not the conscious one. If you say to yourself daily, I am a confident person, I walk into the room and make the room more valuable. I walk confidently because I am enough. I don't need to prove anything to anyone. You will start to believe in it. And at first, it will feel like it's not effective, but keep going. For me, I started to say things like, all is well, everything is working out for me, I am safe, I'm worthy just as I am. I didn't really feel the actual effect right on. But then I didn't like realize it, but then I started to talk to myself more supportively. And I started to be more soft to my own self, because I used to be really harsh and my self talk used to be really negative. And I really started to be more gentle with myself. And that's when I realized that it's really just that I'm doing these affirmations, and that I'm also doing this gratitude journaling. And also, I wasn't doing like all seven tiny habits at once, but from time to time. And believe that anything you do for yourself will always bring you something positive in your life, in your future, or maybe in your current present, even. And so, never ever be hesitant about doing something for yourself. If it's something that is just a try, but it's for yourself and it feels like investment, do it. And these seven tiny habits, they're all investments, and best believe that you will never ever regret of any investment. And these seven tiny habits, they didn't make me perfect, because no one is, but they really made me a real person. And they made me courageous enough to show up, even though I would be crying, even though I would have a very bad mood at that time. I would address it, I would be honest, and I would show up just as I am. Because you are always worthy, just as you are in every damn moment. And never forget that. They also reminded me that I don't have to make a huge, grandiose changes. I don't have to burn down my whole life just to feel better, because this almost never works. And They reminded me that I can start with just a whisper, with something small. And usually, the things that took longer, they stayed longer. And as I said in the beginning of this video, if you've watched this video, the entire video, and you heard all 7 tiny habits, I believe that you now have a beautiful toolkit of becoming your true self. And not all at once, not loudly, but slowly, daily, truthfully. And I want you to know that I love you for even being curious about your healing. And that alone, that's a proof that you're on your way home. And don't forget that you're awesome, and stay awesome and become even better every single day, because you can and you will. Bye.